Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to do a Zabit fighter showcase. This has been a very popular video demand. I have had gameplay using Zabit before, and it's one of my most viewed videos on the channel. I think it has now around 380, maybe 400 views, which for a channel of my size is quite a bit. And it still surprises me to this day that we're on season 7. The game's been out for a long time now, and I still don't come up against Zabit at all whenever I'm in the featherweight division. I mean, it might sound like an exaggeration, but whenever I'm fighting at the featherweight division, I do not come up against him often, and it's mind-blowing because, like I said in the last video, he literally is a created fighter. His skill set is so well-rounded and versatile that it's quite hard to believe. If I made him like a default bot player, like he didn't look like Zabit, you'd be like, yeah, that's a created fighter, because all his moves, his skill set is just wild. I mean, obviously we all know he has like the Zabit trip, which is it's very cool and very good to use, easy way to get the fight on the ground. We all know he has the leg locks, which can catch people by surprise. And then you go on to talk about his strike. I mean, he has every type of kick, the elbows. He has my favourite kick is the teep kick. He's got the question mark kick, the push kick, the spinning back kick, or it's like the Max Holloway kicks. That's all Max Holloway players do. And he's long, he's rangy, got good leg kicks, which is my favourite form of attack on this game. Amazing elbows, amazing knees, ridiculous in the clinch, ridiculous wrestling, and his grappling overall is just elite. I mean, you look at the other grapplers in the division, obviously this is the featherweight. Brian Ortega, who I'm facing here, is obviously probably, submission-wise, definitely the best in the division, but Zabit gives him a run for his money. And overall grappling, you've got Volkanovski, who's also a very good grappler. Rafael Assunção is also very good, but Zabit is easily top 3 grappler in this division and top 5 strikers, I'd say, in the division, because his boxing lets him down a bit, and that's the first thing I want to get into with one of his weaknesses is his boxing. When you compare him to the elite boxers in the division, obviously you've got Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, even Aldo, debatably. It's it becomes a bit of a challenge for Zabit. I don't know if his chin health stats are low. I don't think they are, but once he gets cracked once, it just goes downhill from there. Whenever you get into these boxing exchanges, it's very, very difficult for you to come out on top, just because his punches feel a bit slower, because he's a bit more of a rangy fighter. So my tip would be to constantly keep it at a kickboxing range, and that's the only 2 weaknesses that I say Zabit has, is his boxing and his chin. Apart from that, I think he is unreal. His ground game's phenomenal, and as you can see here, we're controlling this Brian Ortega. As soon as we lock in this submission, I know that it's over. Once I lock in this submission, it's very, very hard to get out of it, and yeah, this is Zabit's bread and butter really, and you can strike with him, which I will showcase in this video today. I do have a fight where I stick to pretty much just striking, but I think the first 2 gameplay clips I have are more grappling orientated. I think they're submission finishes, and it's just to show you that he can do this stuff, because when I come up against a Zabit player, which is rare, they often don't look to wrestle, and it's very strange, because you look at his stats and you look at all the takedowns he has, and it's more wrestling based. I mean, I know he has all these crazy kicks and stuff, and I think that's like what throws people away. That's why people try stand with him the whole time. They don't see how good he actually is on the ground. And one player that I saw, one YouTuber, that I saw utilising very well was Romero. I think he used him in a tournament once, and he'd done a really good breakdown of why he used Zabit. And based off that video is when I actually looked to initiate more grappling heavy approach while using Zabit. Obviously I knew how good his ground game stats were, but I stuck more or less to the striking, just because of the skill set he has when it comes to the kicking game. Obviously I'm a big leg kicker myself, so it worked in well with the teep kicks and all the kicks he does have available. So coming here, we're coming up against Volkanovski, who apart from Zabit is my favourite fighter in the division. I just feel that Volkanovski, his punches are so powerful. He's got that 5-star lead leg kick, and yeah, he'll have the reach disadvantage when it comes to certain fighters, but his wrestling is more than good enough as well. So as you can see, I take my opponent down straight into side control, and once I get a couple of denies in this position, it's wraps. And as you can see, this is literally the start of the round. We're just denying. We lock in the submission, and obviously we know where it's going to go from there. And I understand that obviously this is a new start to the season, so the caliber of opponent I'm facing might be a bit lower than what I'm used to, understandably. But it also could be opponents that I'm used to. As you can see, my opponent ends up rage quitting, so I don't pull off the submission. And so you've had 2 gameplay clips now showing you just how elite his submissions are alone. I mean, it took 1 takedown I think for both those videos, and I just controlled the fight. And coming into this video now, this gameplay, we're coming like this Brian Ortega, who's used a lot more often now, actually, and I don't blame people. Brian Ortega, he slept on when it comes to the hands as well. He's got very, very powerful hands, and I think this gameplay here is a good indication of how good Zabit's striking is, and not only that, it goes to show how his boxing isn't the greatest. I think there's an exchange in this video where you can see Ortega's just slightly faster and ends up getting the rock off, and it's very important to realise what range you've got to fight at when you're using Zabit. You want to stick to as far away as possible from your opponent. You want to really control the centre of the octagon. You can look to counter strike, you can look to be the aggressor, but just no matter what, keep it at range. Utilise your teep kicks if your opponents get too close. Look for knees and elbows once they're in that range, because they're very, very damaging. Obviously you've got the typical combo of the knee to the stomach and then the elbow, which is very damaging. I like to throw the lead leg like roundhouse to the body and then follow up with an elbow. And as you can see there, that small exchange there, Ortega was slightly faster and clips me. And whenever your opponent goes to throw a kick like my opponent was there, if you throw a teep, they always get knocked back. And I love doing that just because it off-puts the momentum. And as you can see, my opponent comes in, I throw a knee, and I'm really working the body. And I'm trying to mix in the kicks, and as you look at that, knock my opponent down again. And like I said, this doesn't do much. It looks aesthetically nice, but it really offsets the momentum, and that's really what I'm trying to do here. And here obviously my opponent's just throwing these knees. I back away. I'm letting my opponent drain his stamina here, and the body work's really paying dividends. I mean, it's only the first round and we're really working the body. And you'll notice that whenever I rock a certain body part, I don't just continuously target it. I started working in the legs there to try to take the leg health down a bit. We go for that beautiful kick there, and my opponent swayed just at the right time. I reckon if that landed, that would have been a straight knockout. And yeah, you can see I've done enough damage to that left leg now, to the point where my opponent changes stance, and I'm really attacking the legs. This is one thing I say every video that everyone should be doing, is look to really isolate your opponent's lead leg, because once you do damage to that, the fight becomes a whole lot easier. And Zabit's roundhouses to the body just feels so powerful. And it's very much a kicking orientated game with Zabit. I'd very much implement either grappling or stick to kicking, because that's where you're going to have your biggest success. And by grappling, I don't just mean submissions. Throw in the clinch in there, clinch towards the cage, work those takedowns, and you'll have so much success. And I think we hit a beautiful question mark kick here. It's a shame we don't end up finishing the fight off of that, because that would have been a perfect way to finish that round. And with 5 seconds left, I just end up backing away. And this shows you here how good Zabit's stand-up really is. But in that first round, I got stunned because I entered that boxing range, and that's one thing you cannot do. And my opponent, fortunately enough, doesn't seem to be an elite level player, because an elite level player would have capitalised off that and forced these exchanges. So when you're coming up against someone that knows how to pressure and use boxing to pressure, that's when you'll come up against the most trouble. Because with Zabit, you don't need to worry about being off your back on the ground, because he's very good. As you can see there, I use the movement beautifully there. So if Ortega takes me down here, I'm not worried. Zabit is phenomenal off his back, got all the submissions like I said, and there's nowhere the fight goes that isn't uncomfortable. As you see, I tried to take the trip there to end up in a side control and just look to do a bit of damage. Right now my opponent's pretty much just given up. He's just throwing the same kicks constantly, that hook kick, and I know what to expect. Look at that elbow. That was just a beautiful elbow. Shame that wasn't the knockout blow. But yeah, just a really dominating performance. And like I said, you're gonna look to keep this at kicking range as we finish the fight here with a beautiful knockout. But yeah, using Zabit, keep the fight at kicking range if it's going to be on the feet. Adopt a grapple heavy approach or a kickboxing approach. You can obviously mix in the two if need be. Apart from that, just don't go into these boxing exchanges, because that is how you will lose a fight with Zabit. No matter how comfortable you get during the fight, I assure you, you get into these boxing exchanges with Max Holloway or McGregor or Dustin Poirier or Aldo, you will lose the fight. So yeah, that was the Zabit fight showcase. Comment down below if you want to see anything else. Thank you for watching the videos and all the support lately. It means a lot, and I'll catch you next video. Thank you.